They say marriages are built on trust, but no one tells you what happens when trust is shaken, not broken, just quietly misplaced. And it's not always because of betrayal in the way people assume. Sometimes the cracks in a marriage start with silence or with someone unexpected stepping into your life. My name is Emily Carter. I lived in Greenville, South Carolina, with my husband, Jason. We'd been married 6 years, high school sweethearts turned lifetime partners, or so we thought. Jason was everything you'd expect in a dependable man. A high school math teacher, a man who loved routine, adored grilling on Saturdays, and always called his mom on Sundays. We lived a quiet life, and I liked it that way. Then Mark arrived. Mark Evans was Jason's best friend from college. They'd met at Clemson, played soccer together, lost touch for a while, then reconnected on Facebook. I remember the first time Jason told me he'd invited Mark to visit. He was smiling, genuinely excited. "You'll love him," he said. "He's a little wild, but he's hilarious. You two will get along great." I wasn't so sure. Wild wasn't really my thing. But I trusted Jason. Mark arrived that Friday with a duffel bag, loud stories, and a smile that didn't quit. He looked like he belonged in a movie. Messy brown hair, laugh lines around his eyes, and the kind of confidence that filled a room. He hugged Jason like a brother and shook my hand with both of his. "It's so good to finally meet the famous Emily," he said. I smiled politely. "Welcome to Greenville." What I didn't know then was that Mark wouldn't just be staying the weekend. His weekend visit stretched into weeks. His apartment in Atlanta fell through, he said. Jason, ever the good friend, offered our guest room for a little while. I didn't argue. That wasn't how our marriage worked. We communicated, supported each other. But slowly, the balance of our home began to shift. At first, it was small things. The living room was always loud. The TV, the stories, the laughter. Mark brought energy with him, but it was exhausting. He would cook elaborate meals and leave the kitchen a mess. He would charm our neighbors and borrow Jason's tools without asking. Then there were the conversations. Mark had opinions on everything, on politics, on movies, on how I folded laundry. It was never rude, just persistent, like he was testing the waters. One night, after Jason had gone to bed early with a headache, Mark and I were in the kitchen. I was cleaning up after dinner. He leaned against the counter, watching me. "You're different than I imagined," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "Jason always made you sound kind of uptight. You're actually cool." I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just nodded and finished the dishes. I started keeping a journal, not because I was suspicious, but because I needed somewhere to put the feelings I couldn't say out loud. I wasn't angry. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't anything dramatic. I was confused. Jason was still the man I married, still kind, still loving, but he was more distracted, more tired, more absent, even when he was right there. Mark had become the center of attention, his work stories, his jokes, his loud plans for the weekend. Jason loved it. I tried to love it too. But there were moments, quiet ones, when I missed my husband, missed us. Then one night changed everything. It was late. Jason had gone to bed early again. Grading papers, he said. I was on the porch with Max, our golden retriever, enjoying the breeze and a rare moment of calm. Mark came outside with 2 mugs of tea. "Couldn't sleep," he said, handing me one. "Thought you might want some." I hesitated, then accepted. We sat in silence for a while. The cicadas hummed. A car passed in the distance. Then he said, "You ever feel like you're watching your own life from a distance?" I turned to him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, like you're playing your role so well, you forget who you really are underneath it." I stared into my mug. "Sometimes." He looked at me, really looked. "You're too good at being a wife, Emily. But what about being you?" That hit harder than I expected. Before I could answer, Max barked. Jason had opened the door, asking where we were. I told him we were just having tea. He smiled. "Come inside, it's late." The next morning, I asked Jason how long Mark was planning to stay. He paused. "A few more weeks, maybe." "Why?" I chose my words carefully. "I think we need our house back. Just us." Jason frowned. "Has he said something to you?" "Number, but we need space, Jace. For us." He nodded slowly. "I'll talk to him." Mark left 3 days later. No drama, no scene, just a friendly goodbye and a quick hug. "Take care of Jason," he said. "He's lucky." I didn't respond. I just closed the door behind him. The silence that followed was awkward at first, like the house was adjusting to its old heartbeat. Then Jason sat down beside me on the couch, held my hand, and said, "I missed us too." It wasn't magic. It wasn't a movie ending. It was real, honest, and it was enough. Months passed. Life returned to its rhythm. Jason and I started having breakfast together again. We planned a weekend getaway to Asheville. We laughed more. I never told him everything Mark said. Not because I was hiding anything, but because I knew it didn't matter. What mattered was the wake-up call. Mark hadn't come into our lives to ruin anything. He came in like a mirror, reflecting the parts of us we'd stopped seeing, the things we took for granted, the quiet fading of connection that happens when life gets too loud. I was a good wife before Mark showed up, but I became a better one afterward. Not because I changed who I was, but because I remembered who we were.